Just let me know if you're able to see the presentation and the
Yes, I
slides.
can. Hang on, let
Okay.
me turn off the presenter mode from myself.
It's great, right? Deepa, can you like confirm if it's like fine? Okay, I can't speak now. Okay, so welcome everyone. So today's going to be like interesting. As you know, we are going to discuss about developing cross-platform mobile apps for
Pooja,
IoT.
I'm
Yeah.
seeing your notes. Can you just share only
Okay.
yeah, the
Okay. Just a
slides?
second. Just a second. Like, does this like software gives like permission to share like some part of the Chrome notebook, like one part, like a
Mm,
tab?
if you have external display, then it will do.
No, I don't have an external display. Okay, so I
So
think then the whole of it will be shared. Just a second.
if you're trying to present it, then it's the presenter notes would be showing up too. So either you have to do it without the presenter notes.
Okay, okay, I got it. Now just check once.
Yeah,
Now
yes, I can see
uh,
this.
it's fine, right?
Yeah, I don't see your presenter notes, but if you
Okay,
see
okay,
them, yeah,
okay, okay, okay.
cool.
Great, great, great. Okay, so welcome again. Thank you for joining. Let's start today's presentation. So today we will be talking about developing cross-platform mobile apps for IoT devices. So it's going to be an easy starters guide. So it will like be an end-to-end thing, but it won't be like too fancy. Like any beginner can easily understand and can try it like the project which we are going to build. So we're going to use like React Native, Firebase, and Google Sheets in this. So just a heads up. So just like couple of things about me, like Deepa gave a wonderful introduction. So I proudly call myself an engineer, developer, and researcher. I am like a research intern at Georgia Tech and a recent CS grad. And like I'm also I'm a passionate advocate for women in technology and have been volunteering a lot in like Women Who Code and especially their mobile and Python tracks as track lead. So where can I get the material? So you can scan this code right here, or you can go to the GitHub link where I have posted the whole repo about the code. And also like there's a link for my blog. So I have also written like a very comprehensive blog for this, whatever I'm going to explain in this presentation. So you can also read it like after the presentation. So quickly we'll go over some tools which you're going to use. So if you're not familiar with them, so first of all, we are going to use Firebase. So Firebase is a backend as service by Google. And in this tutorial, we are going to use its real-time database like product of Firebase. So like it will be serving as a bridge between our IoT hardware and our mobile application. So Firebase is used for that in our like case. The second is the Google's App Script. So that's a scripting platform developed by Google for lightweight application development. And so we are going to use AppScript to like automate the Google Sheets so that, you know, the like things get automatically saved onto the Google Sheets. Then React Native, of course, is a JavaScript framework for writing real and natively rendering mobile applications for both iOS and Android. And we are going to use Google Sheets, which is a spreadsheet program, again offered by Google. And we'll be using like Google Sheets as a kind of cloud database. So an easy way to like create our prototypes for like using it as a cloud database to store our readings. So what you should already know, or I would say the prerequisites would be that basics of React Native app development. So we're not going to discuss that. And also because this today's talk is all about mobile application development and like using all the technologies which I mentioned earlier. So we're not going to like learn about how to code the hardware. So IoT involves like both the parts, like software and hardware. So we're not going to see how to like do the hardware thing. So, but you can go. You feel free to like check on the web or something. And I've also mentioned the link here. It's a useful link to like do a basic coding in Arduino. So what we are going to learn new today, so that includes the connections between the Firebase, which is a real-time backend, and our mobile application. Secondly, we are going to see the connections between the Google's App Script and Google Sheets. So how to like automate Google Sheets using Google App Script. And thirdly, we are going to see the how to like deploy Google's App Script project as a web app and then integrate it with our mobile application. So I know it's a lot, but we are going to do everything step by step, so it will be like super clear. Okay, so let's dive right into it. Oh, but before that, let's do a brief introduction about what is IoT. So for all those who are like less familiar or have just heard the word IoT, it's like very popular these days. Is like the Internet of Things is in short IoT is a system of cross-connected wireless devices with access to the internet. So these devices can collect, send, and act on data they acquire from their surrounding environment or share among each other. So it is possible due to it has like embedded sensors on it, processors, and communication hardware. Okay, but like how are IoT devices actually related with mobile apps? So a mobile app is like a medium between an IoT device and mobile phone. So nowadays, whatever IoT device is coming in the market, we always, mostly we have a companion mobile application. So this mobile app works as a primary interface through which we can like manage, our so-called smart things. And mobile IoT apps supplement and enhance the use of IoT to make it like work more efficiently and user friendly. So few applications of like apps used for IoT devices. You can see, the first and like very common one is your fitness tracker. So I think everybody nowadays own like a smartwatch. So usually the smartwatches come with like a companion mobile app where you can like get all the feed of your like fitness and other like parameters which it measures. The second very common one is a smart home device like a Google Mini and Alexa or like other products. So also these products come with a mobile application to like set them up, to like configure them, and then later to like do all these integrations and stuff. The other one could be like smart city, which is like a broader, bigger like example. So many cities globally are developing this thing called smart city. So they are basically embedding sensors onto like different aspects of the city. Like one common example is like having street lights being like turned on and off depending upon the traffic. Like if a car passes, then only the street lights will turn on to save energy and stuff. So smart city is again a very good example of IoT devices. The other one, which is very crucial one, is in healthcare. So like IoT devices have like absolutely transformed our healthcare infrastructures because now there's so many IoT devices available in the market, which were like only available earlier. Like we had to go to a clinic to and do all the tests. But like diabetes, blood pressure, and just to name a few, so all of those are available in form of a very user-friendly way of IoT devices. And again, they have a mobile application so that we can control, configure them, and also get a whole like a good feed of whatever the parameters it's measuring. And then also we can send it to a doctor's like and other stuff. Okay, so that said, and like we've gone through like major examples of where IoT devices are used right now, we can go to like more specific ones. So that's like my personal one. So just to give you all a glimpse of like what we're going to do today, or like where things which we are going to learn could be like implemented. So just as a use case, I'll be discussing like very briefly my case study. So this is about the recovery monitoring app for physiotherapists, which I and my team developed. So we worked like interned at Design Innovation Center of my university, which is Punjab University, UIT. And here, it was a long project and involved like several parameters like mechanical stuff, electrical, electronics, and others, and even computer science. So my major responsibility was to develop a remote recovery monitoring, like the whole application for it. Like we'll just go in a bit of detail in a minute. So let me just explain like what the use case was. Like why did we, started with something of this sort. So what problem was occurring? So this project was developed in collaboration, like in direct collaboration with doctors. So doctors gave us the requirements that they were facing this problem. So the problem was the slow and manual process for recovery measurement of patients undergoing hand physiotherapy. So the patients who were going hand physiotherapy, the doctors had to like monitor their recovery like time to time. Like that was very frequent. So the picture you see on the right, this is the instrument which our local doctors were currently using. So this was like a very manual like way to, you know, like measure the angles of our hand finger joints. So every each of our finger joint has to be measured to see like if the person is going through hand physiotherapy and how much recovery the person is doing after all the exercises. So this like sorry. So this was a very cumbersome and like a very time consuming process. So doctors demanded us to develop a device which is like easy to use and handle. It was quicker, gave accurate readings, and consumed less time per patient, so that they can look into like more patients in a day and like impact care for more people. So this was the device which we created finally. So after all the iterative processes, testing and other things, so this is the IoT based motion sensing glove. So this is a like normal glove which where we have all like embedded sensors and then connected with it with a processor. And so these are the strip like things you see on the fingers. These are the sensors. And so it is capable of like measuring every joint movement, like whatever the the degree of like when you clench your fingers, like in the other photo here, and like on the other hand, like the way the patient just has to do this. Okay, so once it does this, and the sensors will automatically take the readings and then do like further processing on it. So what are like whole flow of our project looked like? So the first thing was like the sensor, the glove, IoT based glove sensed the hand finger joint readings. Then it transmitted the readings via a Wi-Fi. Then those readings were collected in real time through our Firebase. The Firebase sent the readings to our mobile application, where a user can like easily see what the readings were. The user also has an option to like save those readings for future retrievals. And after saving, like the saved readings goes to the Google Sheet, and from there and then they can be retrieved and like checked out, like whatever uh, like recovery curve of the patient is. So today we are going to like look into like how to create those basic connections of the last three things of our flow here. So the Firebase, the mobile application, and the Google Sheets. So just for your knowledge, what the functions the mobile application which I created performed. So in addition to the ones I mentioned earlier, I also implemented like to make it like more wholesome, to like have like a complete solution for the doctor. We added the new patient, like how the doctor could add new patients, could manage the accounts of the existing ones with all their personal and medical data. Again, obviously display the sensor readings, save them to cloud, and keep a track of recovery. Also present them in form of graphical curves to like make it more like graphical and like for more data visualization, um, I implemented the graphs as well for the recovery curve. And also like electronically like maintain the patient's health records, including his personal as well as medical history. So these are some like screenshots of my application which I built. So we calculated like 3 parameters using those different types of sensors on the glove. So this is how I showed them in a tabular form. This is like the the cards for individual patients. So you can search the list and then you can even add new ones. This is how the graph was implemented. Like we can like see, we can like opt for whatever the hand type you want, the joint type and the finger type, depending upon the patient. So we can check the graphs of the individual, like even individual joint. Like what's the recovery for a recovery, along like months or weeks. So several advantages of the project. So it like this is the patented project which Deepa also told, like this has been recently got patented. Like we got the grant recently, and so this like turned out to be a very useful product, as we had like talked with other doctors as well, especially because like our system reduced the time taken to measure the recovery like significantly from the the conventional procedure which the doctors were employing right now here in India. So it was very like it was a quicker, less cumbersome and more accessible method. Secondly, I like we also tried to implement the remote monitoring capability by creating not just like a use case for the doctor but also for a patient. So if a doctor like recommends a patient who needs it very regularly, that they can buy this or they can just have it on the in their homes, and then like a personal glove and a companion mobile app, so they can like very easily like record measurements, record the parameters at their own comfort of their home. And then the data would be like, but the data could be like easily monitored by the doctor itself, so they need not like have a very frequent follow-up clinic visit for just recovery measurements. So this was the remote monitoring capability, and this special capability is like immensely useful for like current conditions of COVID-19 pandemic, where remote consultation is becoming like a priority. So this product like serves the need of the hour with its capability of remote patient monitoring. Okay, so I'll just like stop here for a minute before we go into like actual coding stuff. Um, so if anybody has like doubts till now in the introduction part and as well as the case study or anything you're curious about, I would love to know and would love to answer.
Can you post that hardware? You go to this, I think the third slide where you had the hardware link for this project that we could read upon. I had
Hardware,
it, yeah.
hardware link.
Yeah, there was a link that was, can you go back a little bit more?
It was the
Oh,
GitHub
yes,
link.
there, the next one. Sorry. The next one. Next one. And it's the next one. I did put the GitHub link. The next slide, please. Where you had this hardware, where we assumed, yeah, this link, where we made an assumption of what we are not going to talk about and what we are going to
Okay,
talk
okay,
about.
okay.
Thank you, Bui. Yeah,
Okay.
this link, it says that it can be found here, the basic code for the hardware.
Okay, okay. It's fine, right?
If you can post it before the end of this talk, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. I'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
But like everything which I'm like showing right now today would be like mentioned in the blog as well, and it's linked to the GitHub only. So you'll find the link and you'll get all the like links which I'm using in this presentation. So that's like the links are very clearly mentioned there as well, but I'll also post it like here. So you can just have a good read of that once the presentation is over and we'll love to know more about today's talk.
Yeah, I think Voib was that. Will that be a good reference for you? Because I did post the GitHub repo. So maybe at the end of it, we can just I
Yeah,
can just look into it and then post it as well. Thank you, Puchita.
I'm sure. Sure. So any other like doubts or something? I'll just go over the chat ones. Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you so much. Um, let's start then. Okay. Okay. So let's start with something basic. Okay. Let's start with the basic connections. So just the overview of what we're going to develop today. For convenience and for our prototyping purpose and for like better understanding, let's develop a simple app to fetch the humidity and temperature readings. So humidity and temperature readings, it's a very simple, like a very common sensor and a very common like readings which we usually like we need like every day, right? We need to check our temperature, like how much cold and hot it is. Um, so, uh, so the hardware is like very simple for it. We're not going to go in depth of it, but the humidity and temperature mostly like there's one sensor that comes for it, and the connections with the hardware, like with the sensors and the microcontroller Arduino, is like very simple and can be like easily found on the net. So what we're going to focus here is like I have divided the content into three major parts. So the part one would be, or the step one you say, is that set up real-time database with Firebase. The step two would be to connecting the React Native app, which we will build with the Firebase. And the part three would be saving the data to the Google Sheets using the Google Apps script. So we will go like step by step here. So sneak peek into what we are building. So in on the left, you can see that there's a template of the Google Sheet with some demo readings. So we'll just save simply date, temperature, and humidity readings. So these are just demo readings. On the right, you can see like the mobile app which we are going to build. So it's nothing fancy. Like I have like spent like no time on the UI, and it's nothing. It's just like, but the major, the important thing here is to know like how you are connecting those three things. So that forms like the basic pillars of building an IoT device mobile app. So here we are displaying temperature and humidity readings, and we're just saving them, having a save button, we're just saving them, and it is just giving us a pop-up that yes, if it's saved, and no, if it's not. Okay, so let's start with step one, that is setting up the real-time database with Firebase. Okay, so first thing you have to do while setting is obviously have a Firebase account. So because all of these are Google products, so like the sign in and login and sign up, like everything is very, very simple. You just need to have a Google account and you just can log in all of these products, Google products. So in Firebase, also you just log in with your Google account. You'll have a console like this, and it's a fairly simple console and very user friendly as well. You just have to create a project by clicking on this plus icon here. Like I have created these two projects, the glove and IoT app dev. Just create that, fairly simple steps, like one or two steps, just going to ask few description about your project and other things. Just fill it in and you're good to go. The second thing is like once you have like created your project and you have like clicked on it, you get to your project console. So this is your project console looks like. On the the left you have like various products which are associated with your, which you can use in your project. So you have in build, you have authentication, Firestore database, real-time storage, etc. So we are going to focus on the real-time database product of it. So you can just select that real-time database from the left menu. So once you select that, you'll need to like perform two steps, which is like very simple ones. So you just have like security, like name it, and this is the security rules. So in security rules, it gives you two options, whether to like start in logged mode or in test mode. So for prototyping, it's useful if you start in a test mode. So we'll do that. Now, this is how your like real-time database in Firebase would look like. So this is so basically, you might know about this SQL database, right? So it's a relational like database in form of tables. But the Firebase, in the Firebase real-time database is in form of JSON tree. So it stores data in form of JSON tree, and it's like a hierarchical tree structure, not like a standard table structure. And each node in it, when you add each node, like each it is associated with a unique key, right? And that's nothing, you don't have to do anything in that, it is automatic. So it's very simple to add like nodes here. Like again, click on this plus icon, the small plus icon here, and you can just create as many nodes as you want. And also you can create in form of a hierarchy as well, like a tree form. Before we go ahead in this, you need to take care of one thing here. Like earlier, we were here in the real-time database. If you see on the top, we are on the data tab, right? Here, where here you can create data types. You can create like data. But if you go to the rules tab on on the right, so here this is what the rules tab looks like. So here you have to go and check once, and you have to make sure that read and write here is true. So in order to like hardware get access to our Firebase, you need that these read and write should be true. So if not already, you have to make them true. Next, you will just go to the data tab, and you're just going to add two nodes. So because we are like fetching two sensor readings, that's humidity and temperature. So just create two nodes for it, initialize them to 0. Okay, well done. So step 1 is over. So step 2 is connecting the React Native app to Firebase. So let's code some React Native project. So first of all, we need to create a React Native project. So for this tutorial, we will be using Expo to build and deploy our React Native project. So Expo is an open source platform for making universal native apps for Android, iOS, and web with JavaScript and React Native. So because we are going to use Expo, so first things first, we are going to like install Expo command line. So you can like write any all of this code in any of your favorite editor. I prefer VS Code, so it has like inbuilt terminal in it, and I just do all the like installing all my packages there. So npm, I'll just use this npm install global expo free, and so to like install Expo. Also for your reference, like for this guide, we'll be like writing all the code in app.js file, because our code is like fairly simple, nothing complicated or any like hierarchical which needs some organizations. We'll just be sticking to one file. Okay, so once that's done, second step would be to set up the Firebase. So setting up Firebase is like fairly straightforward. So I've just divided all of the things which we need to do to set up Firebase into 3 steps. But again, before that, now there's a Firebase package. Okay, so there's a module called Firebase which we need to install in order to like perform further configurations with Firebase. So you just use like npm install Firebase to install Firebase. So then you have to like perform 3 steps in your React Native code. So first thing, you have to like import everything from the package as Firebase in your code. Second thing is to create a Firebase configuration variable. So based on your Firebase, like Firebase real-time database configurations, you have to create this variable in your code. So I have just named it like Firebase config variable. And so these are the things, these are like the parameters which you need to like fetch from your Firebase. So that's like, this is nothing you have, this is complete, like already mentioned in your project settings. So if you go to like Firebase and project settings, then you'll find all these like values for these variables, and you just need to copy paste them. This will essentially connect with your that specific project. Um, Once this Firebase config variable is set, now you have to like initialize your Firebase, this Firebase configuration variable. So for initializing, there's a Firebase function called initialize app, and you'll just initialize this variable, config variable using that, using the code. Okay. So these were like how you were configuring your Firebase variables and just connecting with them. Now, the third thing which comes into play is to create a Firebase event listener. So event listeners basically will listen to any changes in your database. So whenever, like it's a real-time database, right? So you like, you wanted to like get updated like in real time. So whenever it gets updated, you want to like listen to those changes as well. So you want to like reflect those on your mobile app. So for that, we're creating an event listener. And for creating an event listener, we will create a database reference. So I've just made a state variable like museref, just a random name, and I use that, and I'm just initialize, just basically initializing the state variable as a Firebase dot database dot ref. So this is basically that everything which is present in my database would be like referred to this point, like this endpoint, which is museref. So everything will come into this muser. So this is like you created a database reference. That's very good. Now we are going to create an event listener. So event listener could be created in this form, that this dot state dot museref. That is again you're referring to the state variable museref dot on. So on is basically, that means the on is referring to that it's an event listener, that it's listening. So you're listening the value, and there's a like a in function you are writing the snapshot. Now all of the data which is present, like uh, so anytime like a new data is added to our database reference, which is museref, the listen automatically provides the application with the updated data, and it is stored in the snapshot. So snapshot will contain like it's listening with the updated data, and it contains all of um, the updated values of the data. Okay. So later, what we are doing is we're just fetching those temperature and humidity values from our database, which is now present in snapshot in our code. We're just fetching them, like making the some local variables, and we're just storing them there. And later we're just setting the state with I created another state variables in my React Native code, temperature and humidity. And now those local variables are I'm just changing like the state of temperature and humidity with my local variables. Okay, so this was all about configuring Firebase and connecting it with the React Native application. Now we move to our third step, which is saving data to Google Sheets using Google's Apps Script. Now we are done, like everything, the connection between our mobile app and Firebase is good to go. And now what we need to do is that the data which we have got in our temperature and humidity state variables, now we want them to like save onto the Google Sheet. So first of all, again, we have to create a Google Sheet for our project, right? So we not the Google Sheet, but a spreadsheet. So what we're going to do is we're just going to log in again on Google Sheets and just create a spreadsheet, name it something, and create like 3 columns: date, temperature, and humidity. Now we have to create an app script project. So again, Google App Script, you can go and search Google's App Script and then just log in with your Google account. and you'll get like an inline editor there, and it's very user friendly, it's very nice, like nothing much to worry about. So just start coding, right? um, so basically AppScript is a JavaScript based framework, so coding is pretty simple as well. Just create a new project, and then um, you start by writing these 2 lines of code. These are the like the first things to do. So now you have to basically establish a connection with your AppScript project and Google Sheets. So like AppScript doesn't know like which Google Sheet we are targeting, right? So you use the these functions, the sheet function. So there's a whole good like Google's documentation on it, and there's like numerous functions for Google Sheets, and they're pretty simple to use as well. So so first of all, we'll be using the spreadsheet app dot open by URL. So we are just going to provide the URL of the spreadsheet we created earlier, and we are just going to write paste it here to like connect our Google's app script, sorry, with that Google Sheets, and we're just referring it with a spreadsheet variable here. Secondly, we want the specific sheet of that spreadsheet, right? So like so for that we are using this function get sheet by name, and the my name of the sheet is sheet 1, so which is the default name, and I've just mentioned that. So it will be like storing all of the values which we are going to code later into this sheet 1. Once these things are done, later you need to create a do post function. So because our mobile app will be, sending a post request to our app script project, we need a do post to, catch it. So I'm just creating a do post function with a parameter like e. So e parameter will essentially have all the values which we are like sending from the mobile app to our app script. Um, here I've defined like 3 variables, which is like date. So just added a new date function here, and temperature. So in temperature and humidity, I am fetching the parameter values of E, the specific ones for temperature and for humidity respectively. And later I'm appending a row. So this append row is again a sheet function. So I'm using that sheet reference which referred to my sheet 1 of my spreadsheet. So sheet dot append row, and in that, like, this is the syntax of it, and I'm just appending a row with my date, temperature, and humidity. So it's fairly simple, right? Later I'm just returning a success of a content service, like of success of in text type, so that I can fetch it in my app, and I can just show to the user that if your readings were like successfully saved or not. So we are done. So now only the one step is left, which is deployed as a web app. So we're just going to deploy our like app script project as a web app, to connect it with our this React Native project. So deploying it is very simple. You see like in the background like a blue button here on the top, like that says deploy. So you just click it, you'll get a pop-up like this. You just need to give like project specifications, like description and stuff, and you're good to go. Like it's a web app deployed as a web app. Just one thing to take care of it here is that who has access. You just need to make sure that this is anyone, so that your React Native app is able to find it, right? um, but so this is all for prototyping purposes. You can like have like more security rules, like if you want to build some production ready code or something. So that's a whole again another like arena. So you can just have a look into that as well. Okay, so this is the like the app script project, right? It's done now. But now we have that. Okay, one thing here is that when you deploy it as a web app, you'll get a URL, like a link, like okay, so you'll get a URL kind of a link. You just need to save that. Okay, so you'll be requiring it in your React Native code to like send a post request. So you just need to save that once. So now just the last step is left, which is that using that link, that URL, you need to write paste it in your React Native project where you are making the user to save those readings, right? So in the React Native project, what we're going to do is that we are going to create a save readings function, and we're just going to like create that function and then use it for our save button. So on the on my right, you can see the save readings function code which I have written. So a couple of things in this code, I've used form data library. So there are many ways to do it. I recently, explored this form data library, which is very useful to use. So it is used to submit forms and file uploads to other web applications because we are using a web application, so it's very convenient. So to use the form data library, you're first going to install it. So again, npm install form data, and then you're obviously going to import it as well in your code. So so later, what I have done is that I've created a variable called body data, and just of the type form data. Okay, and I've appended the temperature and humidity readings as which I like fetched earlier from my Firebase into this body data. So now my body data will have the parameters of temperature and humidity. Okay. Later in the code, I'm using the fetch API of React Native to connect our mobile app to a remote URL of our app script. So here we say URL, you have to paste that URL which you have saved earlier from deployment. Now you have to like just copy paste that here in fetch. And so our method is post. Our body will contain the data, the body data, and so that's all about it. Later, so the fetch method will return a promise, right? So which we can get using this dot then and catch the response in like the variable res. And I'm just saying that I'm just like making an if statement that if this res is equal success, which we are passing on from our app script, if everything goes like successfully. So if that's success, I'm just using an alert function here, and from the alert package like alert, which will give us like that pop-up, just saying great, reading saved and done. So if that's a success, then the user would know that it's a success. The readings are saved, and if not, then I'm just catching the error and then showing it on the console. So voila. So it's done, right? Everything, all the hard and fast code is done. Now we are just going to use Expo Start to run our mobile application. So here we reach the end of today's talk. Thank you so much for joining, and happy holidays and Merry Christmas to everyone. Also, like if wondering if you missed earlier, like where you can find the code. So again, the GitHub link, which I think Deepa has posted in the chat as well. So the GitHub link, also where you can find me. So you can find me on Twitter at the rate Pujita Garg, and I've also like this is my personal website where I post all of recent events in my life happening and all my projects and stuff. So you can also find me there. Right. Any questions?
Yes, we have a couple of them on the chat. We was asking, you might answer this later, but is the mobile app reading data from an actual temperature sensor?
So for this, like right now, it is not, but it would. Like the whole connections are based on that only. But for the like for the right now, for the demo, I didn't had any hardware right now with me, so I didn't like made those connections. And so, but it would, like, if you code the hardware, and then it would, because in the Arduino coding itself there is a config for Firebase, so from there the readings could be easily sent to our Firebase, and later the concept is similar, is same, which I explained. From Firebase you're going to like fetch from the real-time database into your mobile app and then save it. So the hardware part I'm not going to discuss, because I'm not like, that's not my strong side, like I don't do a lot of hardware stuff. But yes, it could be eventually connected.
Follow-up question on that, asking for my own understanding. So the flow of this process would be, some sensor would read temperature and humidity, and those values get sent to Firebase